Hey there, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley with you here. It is Friday. It's a nice Friday. 6:30, of course. This is Weather Impact. Going to do things a little bit differently today. We'll have our local forecast, then a quick break, and I'm going to be taking some of your questions from Facebook. So if you're watching with the phone and with the TV, you can actually do both. You can ask me some questions there, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some of them for you on TV. Today, part of the thing with the weather is the clouds, and we've seen a good amount of cloud cover throughout the day. This is the way it's looked in Greensboro throughout most of the day. From the morning through the afternoon, more clouds than not, and then decent peaks of sunshine that kind of developed every now and then. But kind of the flavor of the day was another gray day of weather for us. And that's not something you would expect for the month of August, but it is something that we've done more than a few times. High temperature today was 79 degrees. The morning low is 68. That part is normal. The high temperature is way below normal. Our average high for this time of year is about 86 degrees, in case you were curious. Now, most of us didn't have any rain today, but I will point out after midnight last night, there was a lot of rain that went on in some of our western counties, and that sort of continued through part of the morning. This was part of the day in the Carolinas that we didn't really have to deal with, but the rain has been a big factor areas to the south. So take a look at this. This is just the last 3 hours. But if I bump this back to be really since this morning, and even last night, you'll notice how there's been this persistent kind of band of rainfall propagating south, going from north to south across the Carolinas. There's a steady flow right now of a northeast wind, okay? And this is part of the weather flow right now through the state. It's pushing in from the north, trying to send some cooler, drier air. And what it's doing is it's interacting with that warm and humid, more summer-like air once it gets here. And so the first kind of clash that it had was up in Roanoke, Virginia last night. They had some bad flooding out of this. Then it happened over our area, just west of Winston-Salem last evening. And then today, it's really been a problem down in Charleston. I mean, check this out. This is over the last 3 hours, but it's lasted a lot longer than that. They've had bad flooding. And no stranger to flooding either. Charleston itself has this happen quite often, but this is more rain than not just they can handle, but more rain than anybody can handle. You can't get 6 inches of rain in a couple of hours and not have flooding. It's going to happen every time. So they were under the gun for that today, and that's been the big weather story across the Carolinas. You'd think we'd still be talking about Erin, and we can. We'll get to the status of Highway 12 in just a second, but just want to get you up to speed with your weekend forecast before we go down that road. So high pressure in control, or at least trying to be, over the next couple of days. We'll still find ourselves with some of that lower humidity air going into tomorrow. So that's something to keep an eye on for your Saturday. Still, I think we'll have clouds. So another day like today where it's a little bit more gray than not. Going into Sunday, more sunshine, but more humidity. And with that, the warmth, the humidity, that will pop a couple of thunderstorms popping up each afternoon, or Sunday afternoon, I should say. Saturday, I'm not really expecting a big chance for rain. We should stay dry. Like I said, the extra clouds are there. If you're in the mountains, there could be a pop-up shower every now and again. But for Sunday, that's when we'll want to watch things a little bit more. Let's take a look at Futurecast getting after 4, 5, 6 o'clock. Not really showing too much, but you see up here near Martinsville, that's a little bit of a downpour. So it's a low chance, but just something I want you to know about as we go into the weekend. Dew point trend. This is the humidity. Something we've been noticing, a little bit more comfortable today. We'll be back in the humid zone on Sunday. But once we get to next week, this is the big weather change. Dropping humidity. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's when you're really starting to feel some of that fall-like air. Here are some computer model forecast temperatures for next Wednesday. That should be the first crisp morning. Those would be, and I'll double check this, they should be our coolest temperatures that we've had in a really long time. So obviously we haven't been in the 50s recently. We haven't been in the 50s in the month of August. We weren't in the 50s in July either. It was exceptionally hot in July. But if you go all the way back, June 1st, June 2nd, June 3rd, we had lows of 50, 56, and 54. Next week, we will have some of our coolest lows since then. Guaranteed. So you have something to look forward to. Now, let's talk a little bit about how everything is going out in the Outer Banks. So this is a live picture. I'm going to take myself off the screen so you can see it. Live picture here. This is Highway 12 in the Outer Banks. And they're getting ready for another high tide. High tide is coming up at about 9 o'clock this evening. So we're not going to see it very well because it's dark then. But I got to say, they've made some pretty good progress throughout the day out there on 12. Let me show you another way. I want to take a look at our time lapse here. And this is going to show us the last couple of hours. So this is already looking a lot better than it's done. They treat this a little bit like snow removal. So watch these images here. You're going to notice they have a lot of equipment, especially the one up in the top. They're clearing that pretty well, aren't they? There's a lot of sand that was there. Things have been improved over the course of the day. So they say they're still going to have a hard time opening tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe there's a little bit of a surprise that happens and they can get that green light. They might have to wait until Sunday, though. It's hard to say. But either way, we're working our way toward normal, but it's still going to take some time. To show you another view here, this is in Hatteras. They've been draining a lot of the water off and then plowing a lot of the sand off. So it's a big process. They have a couple more high tides that they will be dealing with before it's all said and done over there. So let's take a look at the tropics. Erin is no longer a hurricane, but it is still very, very strong. It's now considered to be a post-tropical system, which means it's basically a nor'easter, but it's still really, really big, really, really strong. It's moving over by Canada now, even with a little flare-up at this hour. Kind of amazing to see that. This is a 2-day loop of the system. The closest land to Erin right now is Nova Scotia. So in Canada, you have Nova Scotia right over here. That's the one on the top side of your screen up that way. And then the next landmass is Newfoundland. After that, well, boy, oh boy, it could take a track all the way over toward Ireland, if you can believe that. If you are having any beach plans this weekend, you can obviously still go. Highway 12 is still closed. Hatteras Island is still closed. Ocracoke is opening up if you take the ferries from Swan Quarter or Cedar Island. Wilmington, fine. Myrtle, fine. All that stuff. Keep in mind, though, the rip current risk could still be high on the east-facing beaches. So pay attention to the flags. Waves have already gone down in most areas. They're still elevated in the Outer Banks, but they're doing a little bit better down in the Wilmington area. I'll leave you with a 7-day forecast here, and then we're going to come back with some of your viewer questions on a Facebook Live. You can follow along with that on my Facebook page if you would like. 7-day forecast, low 80s for Saturday, a good amount of clouds. Sunday, some scattered showers and storms, and then going into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, that's the cool down.